Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Jeff. So where in the world are we today? Well, today we are at Bastille Plaza here in France. And you may ask yourself, why am I talking to myself? That's because Felicia, for some unforeseen circumstances, was not able to join me on my trip here to Paris. It was a last-minute thing that we're not really going to go into, but I am here in Paris for a couple days by myself. The last few days I've been enjoying some time at Disneyland Paris with my daughter who lives in Italy and my grandkids, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time filming there, so I did a couple of videos on like the fireworks and the drone show, but other than that, it's all I'm really going to share from Disneyland. But now that I'm in Paris here all by myself, I am going to do a 5-mile walking tour of Paris. So basically, so you can see the highlights of Paris in one day. And I'm starting here at the Bastille Plaza. So as you may know from history, the Bastille was actually burned down, torn down at the beginning of the French Revolution. The storming of the Bastille was actually the start of the French Revolution on, I believe, July 14th, 1789. Don't give me too hard of a time if I get some of this history wrong. As regular viewers of the channel will know, Felicia is much more the history person than I am, so I'll just try to gloss over the high points. But anyway, this plaza was left here to kind of commemorate it. This monument that you see here behind me was actually built in 1830, and it was to commemorate the overthrow of Charles, who was the monarch of France at the time. A lot of people think the movie Les Miserables took place during the French Revolution, but that was actually in the 1830s, that movie, and like I said, 1789 is when it actually started. So I believe there's some markings in the ground over across the plaza that shows you where the old walls of the Bastille were, so I think I'm going to walk over there and see if I can find them. These brass markings in the ground mark where the walls of the Bastille were back in the day. And there isn't much else to do here at the Bastille Plaza. So now that I've seen it, I'm going to head off to my next destination, which is Notre Dame Cathedral, which is about 1 mile from here. And I'm going to head down Henry IV Boulevard to get there. Well, I've made it over here to the island that Notre Dame is on. As you may or may not be aware, it's actually located on an island in the middle of the Sun River. And as I'm sure most people are aware, there was a fire at the cathedral in April of 2019, and they've been diligently working on it ever since. I think it's supposed to open up at the end of this year, 2024. But as you can see, it's all blocked off and still very much under construction. I'm not really sure how close I can get, so I'm going to try walking around the perimeter and see what the view looks like from the other side. Here I am at the square in front of Notre Dame, and as you can see, it's of course blocked off from this side as well while they do construction. I was hoping to see Point Zero here in Paris. It's actually a placard in the ground right in front of Notre Dame out here in the plaza that marks the 0 point for the city, the center point of the city, that they mark distances to other locations. It's the start of all the roads, but unfortunately I believe it is just behind that wall a few meters away. So I've got some great views of the cathedral here. It's almost time to move on to the next location, but first I wanted to mention that Felicia and I were here in Paris a couple different times about 30 years ago when we used to live in Germany, and I've got a photograph of the two of us standing in front of Notre Dame right now, and I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now. But what do you think? I still look about the same, don't I? Yeah, don't mention anything about it in the comments below. I'd appreciate it. All right, I think it's about time to move on to our next major location, which is going to be the Louvre. I might stop at a couple things along the way if I see anything interesting. But in the meantime, let's head out. It's not that far away. Our one quick stop on my way over to the Louvre is the Conciergerie, which is the prison where Marie Antoinette was imprisoned and sentenced during the French Revolution. It was part of a much bigger palace, which I believe burned down or was destroyed, but there's still a courthouse and a prison that remains there. So you can go inside. It does cost money. I'm just walking by it on my way to the Louvre, so let's head over there now. I made it over here to the Louvre. I originally tried coming around the backside, which is where you're going to approach from when you're walking over from Notre Dame. But like many things in Paris right now, it's undergoing a little bit of construction, so I had to kind of take a little detour, come through the big square building, and now I've made it to the what I believe is now the iconic, glass pyramid that actually serves as the entrance to the museum. I've been to this museum in the past when Felicia and I were here about 30 years ago, so I'm not going to pay the little over $20 to get in, but definitely worth the cost if you've never been in here before. Home to such iconic works of art like the Mona Lisa and the Statue of David. It is a very large place. I mean, certainly see those famous works of art, but take your time to enjoy the other pieces that they have here as well. So now I think it's time to head over towards the Champs-Elysées and the Arc de Triomphe. Let's go. On my way over towards the Champs-Elysées, I'm going to be walking through the Tuileries Gardens, so I'm not going to be doing a hyperlapse of my walk over there because I'd like to get some nice shots of the gardens. Come along. Well, after my beautiful walk through the gardens and across the Concord Plaza where there was a large obelisk in the middle, I made it to the start of the Champs-Elysées. So now it's time to head down the Champs-Elysées towards the Arc de Triomphe. Well, after what was about a little over a 2-mile walk since I left the Louvre, I've made it here to the Arc de Triomphe. Just a little anecdote about my previous trip here almost 30 years ago with Felicia. When we arrived here, we of course wanted to go over to the Arc, and we didn't see any way to get there other than the traffic circle that's behind me with, I don't know, about 6 lanes of traffic. So we dashed across, weaving in and out of traffic, and made it over there. And then when we got to the other side, we realized that there's a tunnel, a pedestrian tunnel that goes underneath. So if you want to visit it, don't make the mistake that we did of trying to dash across the traffic. You might see some people on the top there. I believe it's 16 euros if you want to make the trip up there, which I won't be doing today. A little history of the place. It's a monument towards the French Revolutionary War and the Napoleonic Wars. It was started in 1806 and completed in 1836. And has all the French victories inscribed around it and the generals, I believe, who are in charge of them. So I think I'll actually take the tunnel this time and walk over there so I can get a little closer to the monument. Here's the view looking back down the Champs-Elysées, and as I turn around here, you can see a close-up view of the Arc de Triomphe. Here, obviously added at a later time, looks to be a tomb of a soldier who fought for the French during the First World War. Off in the distance, down one of the 12 avenues that radiates out from the traffic circle around the Arc de Triomphe, is our final destination, the Eiffel Tower. Cannot walk directly there because we have to cross across the Seine River, so we're going to be heading down this avenue right here to the left as soon as I make my way back across the traffic. Well, after about another mile and a half or so walk from the Arc de Triomphe, I've made it to the final destination here over at the Eiffel Tower. I picked this one last because it's, on the far side of the city, and to me it's probably the most iconic landmark here in Paris. I mean, there's a city full of landmarks and iconic ones at that, but this is the one that kind of like stands out to me, and you can see it from across the city. As I've said with some of the other places I've been today, I have been up in the Eiffel Tower before, so I'm not going to go up today. I believe it's about $12 or $13 if you do want to enter and go at least part way up. There might be more than one option as far as how far up you want to go. Brief little history in honor of Felicia. It was finished in 1889, and France had the World's Fair here, and it was supposed to be the centerpiece, or it was the centerpiece of the World's Fair, and it also marked the 100th anniversary of the French Revolution. So it's not necessarily specifically to honor the French Revolution, but it happened to have gone up right during the 100th anniversary. So I think that's going to about wrap it up for this video. I looked at my Apple Watch, and I think I walked about 6.5 miles. It's actually a little bit further than that, but I made some detours. So I did some back of the napkin math and think I did about 6.5 miles on this walking tour, and it only took me about 4 hours. So if you don't have a lot of time in Paris and you're trying to hit up some of the historic landmarks, this might be something you want to try out. You could even shorten the distance that you walk. There's subways between all of these stations. I'm probably going to do another video here on how to ride the subway. It's a little over $2 every time you want to hop on it, and there are passes that you can do that you can ride the whole day for a cheaper price. So, like I said, I think that about wraps it up. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and ring that notification bell so you can see my other videos that are going to come out about Paris. Thanks for watching.